Sheikh Imran, why is there shooting going on between India and Pakistan across the border in Kashmir?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Morris, it's good to be talking with you again after some time. And I'm glad that we are doing this interview at this time because many things are coming together at the same time around the world, all pointing in the direction of a grand climax of a historical process which has been unfolding for quite some time now. The micro analysis is important, but we can only understand micro analysis and be accurate in micro analysis if it is linked to and it conforms with an accurate macro analysis. And our macro analysis comes from our eschatology, as you know very well, Morris. And the battle which is now going on in the world, the intellectual battle in politics, the intellectual battle in economics, the intellectual battle in monetary economics, is from our perspective going to be won by eschatology. And that is that there are those who want to rule the world in order that they be able to deliver to the state of Israel, the status of ruling state in the world. And when they deliver that to Israel, then a man will emerge in Israel as the ruler of Israel, and who will declare in Jerusalem that he is the Messiah. But he would not be the Messiah. Our Prophet, Allah's blessings be upon him, Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, said that he would be the false Messiah. The subject of the Messiah and the return of the Messiah, the son of Mary, and the false Messiah, all of this belongs to eschatology. Secular scholarship is not willing, is adamant, not entering into the field of eschatology. That is the choice of secular scholarship. But we, from the viewpoint of eschatology, we will not allow them to get away. We are demonstrating that when we apply eschatology to our political analysis, our economic analysis, our monetary analysis, not only can we explain the past more accurately, better, more convincingly, but more importantly, we are the ones who can anticipate what's coming. There are critics who declare only God knows, only Allah knows the future. And we say to them, don't businessmen, good businessmen, don't they anticipate market trends? That's what a good businessman does. If a good businessman could study the market and anticipate in which way the market is going, why can't we do the same thing with history? So we dismiss those pathetic critics who all that they have to do is to say only God knows the future. We say to them, why don't you leave us alone? Why don't you leave us alone? There are many who are interested in our analysis. There are many who are interested in our eschatology. So kindly leave us alone. We don't have time for you. It is in the perspective of that eschatological analysis of events unfolding in the world and about to unfold that we could look at Pakistan. That when the British were about to decolonize, and it was never the intention of European colonization to remain permanent as colonizers. No. The purpose of European colonization was to dismantle existing political and economic and monetary institutions, educational institutions, and replace them with institutions manufactured in Europe. And then you decolonize. So you can then continue to rule that society and influence that society by proxy. So from the time the British decided to withdraw from India, the battle began. So what's going to be the post-colonial subcontinent? And Pakistan came into being as a victory for Europe. Pakistan is a victory for Europe because what should have occurred upon decolonization was that the Muslims in India would recognize that there is no such thing as Islamic imperialism, and that Muslim rule over India for so many hundreds of years was in fact Islamic imperialism. It should have been denounced by sensible Muslims. An apology should have been extended to the Hindus of India for that Islamic imperialism. And an effort should have been made to work out a relationship with Hindu India. That all that the Muslims are asking for in a post-colonial India, all that we are asking for, nothing else, is our freedom to remain Muslims, to live as Muslims, in accordance with the way of life of Islam. That's all we're asking for, nothing else. And if that had been offered to the Hindus, then India would have become an independent state, but with the Muslims having their freedom to live as Muslims. That's not what the British wanted. No. So Pakistan came into being as a clone of secular Turkey, Mustafa Kemal's Turkey. And from the day that Pakistan was born to this day, Pakistan has been ruled and controlled by proxy from Washington. And when Washington feared that elections would not deliver to them a pro-Western government, they had no qualms in rigging elections. In 1976, in response to the 1973 war between the Arabs and Israel, resulted, as you know, in a draw. It was planned that way. And then the sudden rise in the price of oil gave to the Americans an opportunity of a lifetime to replace Bretton Woods with a petrodollar system. That's when Kissinger went to Faisal and made that infamous deal that oil will now be sold for only US dollars. And once Faisal agreed to that, the dollar survived. And the dollar has flown even higher since then. The petrodollar system, the petrodollar monetary system, was even more beneficial to the Zionists than the Bretton Woods monetary system. King Faisal agreed to it because he didn't have the knowledge. He was convinced that Kissinger was right, that the Arab oil, the money then from the sale of oil would rise spectacularly. It did rise spectacularly. The income came tremendously more than it was before. From the start of the war in 1973, when oil was at $40 a barrel, it rose to 160, a 400% rise in the price of oil. And the Arabs who were getting $3 a barrel were now getting $12 a barrel. And Kissinger was able to convince Faisal that this $12 a barrel is peanuts for what you will be getting. Kissinger was right. And Faisal bought it. And Faisal then agreed to this infamous deal that the Arab oil producing countries will sell their oil for only US dollars. That's the petrodollar monetary system. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in Pakistan had the political genius to recognize an opportunity in that war and the rise of the price of oil. And Zulfikar Ali Bhutto then reached out to Faisal to try to make a deal that will exploit the new opportunity which has come. And that's when they organized the Lahore Islamic Summit Conference of Islamic States in February of 1974. And for the first time, since the Ottoman Caliphate was abolished in 1924, for the same first time in 50 years, the world of Islam was coming together to unite in a unity that would be meaningful and could deliver some kind of power to the world of Islam and integrity. And the Western world warned Bhutto, we'll make a horrible example of you, don't do this. They warned him and warned him and warned him. And to his credit, Zulfikar Bhutto never stepped down, never backed down. Subsequent political leaders in Pakistan, rulers in Pakistan, never had the kind of backbone that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto had in standing up to the Western world. The present government in Pakistan is a shameful government with a backbone made of recycled paper. I don't care if they're annoyed with me. That's what they are. They are stooges of the Saudis, who are in turn stooges of the Zionists. So that's the kind of government that Pakistan has today. But the Pakistanis will remember 1976, when Bhutto had stood up against them, and they decided to make a horrible example of him. The Lahore Summit Conference took place in February 1974. In April 1976, the Western world responded using India, and Indira Gandhi exploded the first Indian nuclear blast, and India joined the nuclear club 2 months after the Lahore Summit Conference. That entry of India into the nuclear club was meant to impact upon Pakistan and demoralize Pakistan, so that Pakistan and Bhutto would not continue on the path on which they were going. This is the kind of leadership that Pakistan wanted. Men of integrity, men who would stand up and defy those who want to rule the world. Eventually, they got rid of Bhutto, as they got rid of Faisal. And as soon as they got rid of Faisal, Saudi foreign policy turned 180 degrees. Everything that Faisal has stood for, as soon as he was assassinated, the Saudi government reneged on everything and turned back. Similarly with Bhutto. As soon as they got rid of Bhutto, Pakistan's foreign policy was again back into the hands of the Americans. And that was when the opportunity came with the Soviet intervention in Afghanistan to now join with the Americans in fighting the Soviets in Afghanistan. Pakistan is back in the American camp, back in the CIA camp. When Zia-ul Haq had a change in heart and was turning back towards the way of life of Islam, and I think that Zia-ul Haq was sincere in this change that he was making. He was formerly, like all the rest, a stooge, doing the work that the masters wanted of him. But then afterwards, there was a sincere change in the man. They got rid of him. And in the process of getting rid of Zia-ul Haq, it didn't matter to them that the American ambassador had to die. It didn't matter to them. And so Pakistan since then has been in the hands of those who are subservient to Washington, to Saudi Arabia. And in the last elections in Pakistan, I was convinced that there was massive rigging. This is why they brought this system of democracy with elections. In our political system, you have accountability. That when you make a political choice, you cannot do it anonymously. No, not in our political system. There is accountability for your choice. You cannot hide behind an anonymous vote. In their political system, you don't have to be accountable because your vote is secret. You see? And so you can rig an election. And that's what they've been doing anytime they're in trouble. They rig the elections. In 1976, what they did to Bhutto, and I have first-hand evidence, a professor, a Pakistani professor, who is a professor in the United States of America, spoke to me and told me that he himself personally took a briefcase packed with US dollars to Pakistan, given to him to deliver to a political party in Pakistan to influence the voting in elections in 1976. The man confessed to me. That's what the CIA were doing. And when Bhutto realized that this is what was happening, that the CIA was trying to buy the elections, he then responded and rigged the elections. And that's what happened in the last elections in Pakistan. So if the Pakistani people are now rising up, perhaps it's because enough is enough. Enough is enough. We want leaders who can be faithful to us and not bend down and kiss a Saudi foot and bend down and worship Washington. Maybe that's what the Pakistani people want. But that's not what India wants. And that's not what Saudi Arabia wants. And that's not what the Zionists want. So if the demonstrations in Pakistan are now threatening this Saudi government in Islamabad, then a good thing to do would be to try to create a diversion. And so India steps in conveniently to create a diversion that the Pakistani armed forces, Pakistani government will be grateful for. So attention is diverted now to possibility of an India-Pakistan war. And your attention is diverted away from the threat to the government. But I don't think that the leaders, Imran Khan, who is a former cricketer, and the Islamic scholar, Professor Tahir al-Qadri, I don't think that they are fools. And I think they realize that what India is doing is trying to help out the Pakistani government with what is happening on the ceasefire line. This is my answer to you, Maurice. I can only hope that the people of Pakistan one day might once again be able to get a leadership that will stand up to Saudi Arabia and stand up to the Zionists and stand up to Washington the way Russia is doing it today.